My dear brothers and sisters, we have heard this passage of the 3rd chapter of St. John. It is what Jesus said to Nicodemus. It is a very holy moment when Nicodemus came to see Jesus during the night. It's very important moments when such a night talk takes place. St. John reports that Nicodemus came secretly. Out of fear, he didn't want to be seen that he went to see Jesus. But this evening, this late evening night talk with Jesus was decisive for the life of Nicodemus, so that he became a true disciple of Jesus. I remember an old Russian. It was in my young years when I knew him. He was a close friend of the Queen of Netherlands, old Mother Queen. And he had been serving at the court of the Tsar. So you can imagine that is very, very long time back. I was very young at that time and he was very old. But then my great surprise was when we were standing at the window and looking out in the garden, and suddenly this old man who had known so difficult times said, "We must be born again." That's what Jesus said to Nicodemus. We must be born again. Now, of course, you know what it means to be a born-again Christian. I do not think that this covers all of what Jesus said to Nicodemus. But in this night, Nicodemus has seen, understood that believing in Jesus is a new life. It's a new light. The light came into the world. And believing in Jesus is a new life. It is, in this sense, to be born again. At the beginning, Nicodemus did not understand how we cannot return in our mother's womb. We are born. No, born from the Spirit, born in faith, to be a new creature. But Jesus tells also Nicodemus in this so important talk during the night that there is a struggle between light and darkness, and the light of faith meets opposition. And this opposition we see in the Acts of the Apostles. The apostles are put into prison because they did not stop speaking about Jesus and about the wonder of his resurrection. and they were sent to prison. And so many others followed the apostles through the ages and became prisoners because of their faith. I really want to share with you this concern about the suffering of the prisoners. Of course, not all prisoners are in jail innocently, but in the psalm it is said, "The Lord hears the cry of the poor," but there is another verse which always moves me when I pray this psalm. "The Lord hears the cry of the prisoner." And I want to remember the suffering of the prisoners throughout the world. I have met the Minister of Justice. She's the first Muslim minister in Austria. She's a very, very good lady. And we spoke about the prisons in Austria and the pastoral work for the prisoners. And I remembered with her in how many countries the prisons are really a hell. When I was in Syria in October, invited by the patriarchs, I passed 3 times that place where one of the most horrible prisons of the world is hidden under a hill. And it was so hard to think under this hill hidden is this huge prison where so many people have been tortured and still continue to be tortured. And not all have an angel to bring them out of prison and set them free. I simply invite you in your prayers, do not forget the prisoners. Jesus is with them. Do not forget the prisoners. Jesus said, "I was in prison and you have visited me." But there is this great mystery of the light of faith. And I have personally met, but much more heard and read about what faith can mean for people in prison. To stand the suffering, mainly in those countries where the prisoners are treated like worse than animals. The light of faith. I have a regular contact with a prisoner, long years prison. He's a Latin American in an Austrian prison. And he has come to a deep faith in prison. And we exchange letters. He writes long letters, I write short letters in answer, but we stay in contact. The light of faith that changes even the life in a prison. All about this change, this new birth, is the mystery of God's love. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so that everyone who believes in him might not perish, but have eternal life. The light of faith is the new birth, is the new life, and I all invite you in this Easter time to be deeply grateful for the gift of faith. What a treasure. What a treasure to have this, what we will see later in the lecture, this friendship with Jesus, this friendship with God, that faith makes possible. And even if we are in freedom, thanks God, but we are not free from worries, anxieties, tests, difficulties. But the light of faith is what changes the life and makes it a new life. So let us thank the Lord for the gift of his resurrection, the gift of faith, the gift of his new life.